Hi, I'm Danica Tormolen, VP of Content for TSNN, and I'm joined today by Nicole Leinbach, who is the founder of Retail Minded and Stimulate and co-founder of the Independent Retailer Conference. And I'm going to talk to her today because she just recently launched a brand new event, the Stimulate, a B2B sexual wellness trade show in Nashville. And so we wanted to talk to her a little bit about the launch. So welcome, Nicole. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So give us some insight into your background and why you decided to launch Stimulate.
I was so fortunate over all my years of business to work with amazing exposition companies, trade shows, whether it was as a speaker or an event partner in delivering education experiences. For example, Emerald Exposition's been a wonderful client of mine for years, working at ASD Market Week in New York now, doing various education programs. And in fact, it was at one of those experiences at ASD that I was challenged to come up with some content, live in-person content specific to a growing category that they had data from during COVID, which was adult novelty. And so what I did was I looked beyond that in my own research and realized there wasn't really anything supporting more than just adult novelty, as I would define it, more sexual wellness. I always like to say head to toe, young to mature, all the touch points of sexual health. And so it was at that time that I challenged myself to say, you know what, let's take all these years of working with other event producers and produce one ourselves.
So that was was that 18 months ago? Is that what I saw on your LinkedIn post?
It was of March of 2022 that I decided, because that was when ASD Market Week took place. And that's when I was challenged to do that. And so what I looked back after that moment and reflecting on the experience and producing that content for them was, we need to do more. The industry at large isn't giving a space of connectivity for retailers and vendors to connect. And pleasure products does in fact have shows that are specific for that category. Same with lingerie. They have shows specific to that category, and they are wonderful shows. So we were never looking to replace things that already existed. We were looking to fill something that didn't exist, as well as become what I kept referring to as a crossover show from some of these already existing shows. And so we did that through the launch of Stimulate Sexual Wellness. And we really aimed to curate 40 vendors that could speak to, again, that head to toe, young to mature importance of sexual wellness.
Yeah. Well, that's usually a recipe I've found for success in the trade show industry is looking for voids in the market and then wanting to support that growing and emerging industry. And obviously, wellness has become a very hot topic overall in general, on a broader sense. And I am guessing it's becoming a lot more mainstream in terms of the sexual wellness space.
Well, it sure is. I'll tell you what, we actually were very fortunate to welcome the founder of Bloomy, which is a product line sold at Target, among other retailers. Their founder, her name is Rebecca Alvarez Story. She spoke at our show, and she spoke about landing in mainstream retailer space, selling products that include personal vibrators. So as well as serums and lubricants and various other body care items that are designed for sexual pleasure. Now that's just one introduction. We also had a wonderful brand at our show called Sweetnums, and they are vaginal cleansing wipes, but they also have a flavor to them. So for some people, they also use that for part of a pleasure experience. And they're already sold at CVS. They're sold at a variety of other stores as well. And in fact, we were so thrilled to welcome the buyers from CVS, two different buyers from both their sexual wellness category and their feminine care line category, to our show, because they also had said, we've been looking for something like this.
That is great. That's a huge success. I know other people who would be listening to this would be interested in knowing. So you've got like this top buyer from CVS. I mean, that's a big coup, right? So how do you convince them to come to the show? What were some of the ways that you went about doing that?
I think a lot of it leans heavy on, I've been in this industry a long time. I've been so grateful to have relationships already established across many retail categories, including pharmacies such as CVS, including fashion, accessories, novelty. We even had brands at our show such as Tiramisu Papery, which is a paper goods line. And people were surprised to hear that, but there's a lot of novelty and coy with like candles and greeting cards that fall into sexual wellness-ish conversations. Or Ampersand Studios, one of their cards, because again, a greeting card company, was a picture of a lime and it said, "Make me squirt." So it was a fun novelty conversation, but that's what a lot of buyers were looking for. They weren't looking for the in-your-face sexual wellness. They wanted again, that head to toe young and mature. They wanted the applicable stuff that supports the body care, but they also wanted the things that support simply the conversation, such as novelty. So I really just leaned into my network, the network of people I already knew, the network of relationships I've already built. And I then leaned into data. And with the data and the network, and then of course the amazing vendors that we were able to introduce and welcome to our show, things fell naturally into place. But I will say one of the key components that I created around Stimulate was education. And I looked at that as 3 pillars. We had product knowledge education, which I felt was incredibly important, retail operation education, which has really been a core of my business always, and then finally sexual wellness education. And so by taking those 3 components, bringing it to our stage, which we refer to as Stimulate Educate, we were really fortunate to have conversations that were worth listening to. And we always had a full audience engaged, learning from them. In fact, one of the biggest complaints of the show was, how do I be at my booth and be in the education session? We heard that many times. So can you schedule them in advance of floor opening versus during show opening so that we can be there too? That was something we certainly listened to, but next year, I just hope they bring more people so they can divvy up.
So I love what you said. So you leaned into your network, you use the data around the industry, I'm assuming, and its growth. Also using the vendors, it's kind of like a chicken and the egg, right? You get the buyers, you get the vendors, it kind of all works together. And then education as a key component, conversations and topics. I saw you had 20 education sessions over the course of the event, and you named some of those speakers who you had on the stage. So I'm looking at your list of speakers, and it looks like a great list of people in the industry and who are knowledgeable on the topic, and probably thought leaders in their space.
Exactly. We had over 20 at 21. So not, just a little bit more than that. We had 21 sessions over 2 days. And we also had a private social media experience in a breakout room, which was more of a 4-hour experience for those retailers who needed a little bit more hands-on nurturing for social media. And that was presented by Crystal Media. Her name is Crystal Valaukis, and she's a wonderful leader in that category of retail and social media. And then those 21 sessions were a combination of those earlier 3 pillars I discussed. And we tried to find balance of quick learning experience at 15 minutes each, as well as more in-depth experiences at 30 minutes or 45 minutes each. And so it just gave our attendees the chance to really learn about what they needed to. Again, not just about the product, that's a really huge part of the sexual wellness category, but also about the business of retail. Like, how do you sell online and navigate the challenges of potentially explicit sexual words? Or what are the legal side effects to selling online with products that might have side effect issues? We wanted to make sure our attendees were well aware of what they're either currently selling or might consider selling.
So, and that's really the B2B side, right? Like you
Correct.
said, elevating that B2B discussion. So why did you select Nashville? I'm curious.
Well, I don't know about you, but I've been to a million shows in Vegas. And while I value them and I love them and I truly do adore trade shows at large, I felt like been there, done that in many ways. We needed something fresh. And I do find the South and the Midwest have an opportunity for enhanced trade show growth. So I felt Nashville was just a destination that is both social. People tend to want to go there. Not everybody, but a lot of people do want to go there as sort of a getaway. But there's also a really robust retail and business scene there. And so I felt like it was a strong anchor for this launched show. And we will definitely be returning there next year, August 5th and 6th.
Yeah. So that's great. You already have dates and a location for 2024.
Yes, exactly. And we have something else that we'll be announcing here soon, which of course I'm happy to share. It's called Stimulate Roadshow. So we'll be doing a pop-up tour in Austin, Chicago, New York, and Miami. Okay. Smaller scale experience that's even more heightened on the education side, but there will also still be vendor connectivity. But our core show will return in Nashville. That is our anchor show to the Stimulate experience.
Oh, that's great. When's the first roadshow?
So the first roadshow will be in Austin at the end of October, and then we will continue it. And the plan is Nashville will remain our core show, Stimulate, every year. We're looking forward to a lot of growth, of vendor growth. We had 100% verbal confirmation for every vendor we had attend. So we'll see what happens with that, but we're looking forward to bringing back the 40 we had and more than doubling it, because we also had a lot of confirmations of count me in for year 2, even before it happened. So we're looking forward to not growing so fast, but we're definitely going to more than double the vendor count for 2024. And then in between, we want to make sure we're also nurturing that ongoing education need of both product knowledge and business operations.
That's great. So you said there were 40 vendors at this first inaugural event. So
Exactly.
who were the top 5 in your mind?
Well, I don't have favorites, and I definitely don't want to claim any as a top 5, but I will say that we were really proud to welcome Eldorado Trading, which is one of the top 3 distributors in the United States of adult novelty and pleasure goods. And as it turns out, unbeknownst to me at first, they're 10 minutes from my home in Denver. I didn't know that when I first approached them. And the fact that they were was really wonderful. I was able to go into their warehouse, help them curate the products that they brought, work with them directly, and just really nurture a relationship before our doors even opened at Stimulate to make sure we were on the same page. And they valued education as well for product education. So that was a big reason that we were so excited to welcome them. Additionally, we had a lot of great emerging brands, 2 that I will mention, the first being Black Alchemy. And they did their first show ever, which was here at Stimulate. And they have co-founders, one is in Atlanta, one's in Brooklyn. There's a business called Sex Down South, which like 600 attendees every year. It's a consumer event, but Tia mostly is the co-founder of that. Her and another girl, her name is Barella Robertson. They founded Black Alchemy. It is a pleasure-focused line, and it is targeted more towards African-American needs, which I thought was fantastic. We wanted to make sure we're covering all range of both products as well as everybody, every single person that we can. Another line that we were really excited to welcome was called Leah Moon. It's Leiamoon, and that's a vaginal steamer. And so they actually also made their debut at Stimulate, and they support women in vaginal health during everything from early, like first time menstrual cycle all the way through menopause, through more of a holistic healing, nurturing experience called vaginal steaming. So certainly they're the experts in that. I am not, but that was really fun because a lot of people, it's the first time they connected to a lot of different buyers that already are selling various sexual wellness or pleasure goods. And so it was really fun for them to connect with that as well.
It's always nice. I love it when, that's certainly one of the benefits in my mind to trade shows is the launching entrepreneurs and helping them make a splash in an industry and grow their business. And that's the backbone, right, of the country. Small and medium-sized businesses, and helping them get their start is probably pretty rewarding, huh?
Absolutely. And that was for me one of the, because when you said your top 5, I was like, oh boy, I don't play favorites at all here, but I'll go with like the Mother Bear, which was Eldorado. They've been in business 50 plus years, all the way down to our emerging brands, such as Black Alchemy, which is BLK Alchemy, and Leah Moon. And then we also had brands that are, and we actually had over 5 countries, people from 5 different countries at our show. So for our little baby virgin show, we had people from the UK, from Portugal, from Spain, as well as Mexico, the United States, of course, Canada. So it's really fun to see a global presence there as well. People who are really making a change in this space from all over the world. We also had brands called like Bellybind was another great band. It's BELLIBIND. And that's for postpartum care. And it's sort of a wrap. You put it around, but it's also for post-surgery care too. It's a belly bind. So for a lot of healing components of that, but it's mostly known for postpartum. And then we had another great line called Future Method, which was founded by Dr. Evan Goldstein. He also spoke at our show. And he's the world-renowned anal surgeon based out of New York City. His company is called Bespoke Surgical. And Future Method is actually an anal douching product. And like he took our stage and talked about what does that mean? And there's a lot of consumers who are engaging in anal sex. And so anal douching is a really important component of staying healthy, being healthy. So listen, I'm learning so much along the way in this process as well. And nothing surprises me anymore. And it's just so great to be able to bring everybody together, not just vaginal care, but anal care and penile care and head to toe care for young to mature.
That's great. And making it a conversation that you can have on a stage.
Yeah. And it was just incredible to see. I mean, there were so many people who learn. Nobody knows what they don't know, right? So
Right.
there's so much we don't know. And when you take the buyers from places like CVS and Hustlers Hollywood and Lion's Den, which are more adult novelty, but cater to your well-being of sexual health as well, in addition to 7-figure monthly sellers on Amazon and various independent stores, there's just a lot to learn. So we were just so fortunate to bring in these incredible leaders to teach us about the importance of things that, again, what you don't know, you don't know.
So I wanted to focus on the buyer side. So you had about 200 attendees. I won't ask you to name your top 5, but give us an idea of some of the range of buyers that were there and maybe some of the, besides CVS, maybe some of the other big buyers.
So we had 89 total registered people for the show. Okay. And so we had just over 200 attend. So we'll call that a win because the show floor was engaged the entire time. Our vendors were happy. Yes, we would love to see more people attend next year, but we curated this show one to make sure it was the right buyers and the right vendors and the right conversations. We weren't looking for quantity, we were looking for quality. And with that, we were so thrilled to welcome, I already mentioned, the CVS buyers, buy-ins from Lion's Den, Hustlers Hollywood. Those from a store count perspective were our largest 3. So CVS has over 8,000 stores. Lion's Den has around 100 stores. Hustler Hollywood has also around 100 stores. But we also personally invited and welcomed various online sellers that have 7-figure monthly online sales. So these are your e-com sellers of marketplaces. Amazon, Walmart, those people selling in marketplace, which is a very profitable place to sell. And we were thrilled to have a variety of them come to the show. And many of them, in fact, one family of buyers, there was a husband, wife, and son, their historic online sales were always in automobiles, like parts, whether it's bolts and nuts and tires, various automobile things. And when they looked at the data, they saw sexual wellness as a rising opportunity. And so when we connected, they said, okay, this is the show we're going to go to. And they connected with fantastic vendors that they're opening new orders. They made incredible investments into this space. And while they're new to market, they're not new to selling. And so we're very excited to see a lot of buyers are looking at this category as a growth avenue. And so that was exciting too.
I want to talk about some of the highlights from the show that you mentioned. In addition to the educational sessions, the social experiences are a very big part of any show, especially as we come out of COVID, wanting to meet in person and have memorable experiences with your colleagues and vendors. So talk a little bit about some of your favorite experiences at the event.
Yes. Well, I was really excited to personally put together the entire show experience in the sense of what I wanted it to look like. On a social side, I knew I wanted to do an evening that was unlike any other thing I've personally ever experienced at a trade show. And I wanted it to be very small, very casual, and very friendly. And so with that, we did what I refer to as a honky tonk VIP evening. And that was a Sunday night. The doors opened on Monday. It was a Monday, Tuesday show. So people fly in Sunday. I wanted to take our VIPs, as I refer to some of our buyers. So this is your buyers that we knew had a certain head count of stores, or maybe they only had one store, but it was really important for them to be there and for a variety of reasons. And as well as our speakers. So we did fly in quite a few speakers that, of course, delivered tremendous value to our show. And so I took media, speakers, and select VIP buyers only. There was just a very small handful of actual vendors there. I wanted to keep them for another social experience. And we did this great open air party bus in Nashville. And then I had famous Hattie B's Nashville style hot chicken on the bus and everything in a can, nothing poured. It was this open air bus going down famous Broadway in Nashville. But what it did was it toured Nashville. So it took us on a tour of downtown Nashville. So people who had been to Nashville for the first time, they're now getting this beautiful summer evening open air experience. of Nashville, and they're connecting with strangers. And again, a casual environment. People became such fast friends. We had doctors to sexologists to retail leaders to industry leaders and just incredible minds on that bus, and conversations started, which made going into day two even more fun because people had already found new connections and great energy. And we had people waiting 90 minutes before our doors opened in line. That was just a testament of their enthusiasm to get to the show floors. And then the Monday night, which was opening day of the show, we did something called Stimulate After Hours. And so the show ended at 5, and we at 5 immediately transitioned our education stage. So Stimulate, Educate, transitioned to Stimulate After Hours. And I welcomed national music artist Ali Cutter. She performs a lot at various places in Nashville, to our stage for an acoustic performance. Of course, she was singing too, but she played acoustically, and a combination of country, a combination of rock, and open bar, and some small bites, and people had a blast. And so we left the show floor open. People could mix and mingle. They had cocktails. And when it ended, it was at 5 to 7. We were definitely excited. People were still there, and essentially had to say, okay, we'll see you tomorrow, because it was a hit. People had a good time. Again, very casual, but also very collaborative. And I think that was the big takeaway, was we were trying to create environments that were casual, but meaningful, conversational, collaborative, really community oriented.
I love the idea of the honky tonk bus, and like with the canned chicken, the things that are
Yep.
Nashville, and part of that Nashville experience. In addition, the music artist Ali Cutter. Sometimes when you're at a show, you don't maybe leave the convention center, and you could be in a city, but you may not know you're in a city. But people are looking for that experience more and more, especially the younger generation, to like, okay, I've gone to Nashville. I've not only attended a show, but I've also seen all the city has to offer.
That's exactly right. And what was really fun was the honky tonk, it's literally called the honky tonk party shuttle. That's what they call it. They actually have a retail establishment at their location prior to boarding the buses. And they became buyers of our show. They ended up at our show for 2 days and opened quite a few new accounts. Nashville is one of the top destinations for bachelorette parties. So the novelty side of sexual wellness lended itself to them as well. So we were just making connectivity everywhere we could, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. So one other thing that I wanted to touch on was your fashion and product shows. So describe that to us.
So when I designed Stimulate, I wanted to approach the show very differently than what a traditional trade show might be. And I decided I wanted to mix and mingle our attendees, which led me to creating something that I refer to as the cocktail concept. And with that, we had everybody facing inward into the trade show versus black draped hanging seats between them and various booths that felt like you were in your own space. Everybody was connected. And in the middle of each respective room were actually cocktail tables with some of our more smaller SKU count brands or emerging brands for various reasons. One, maybe they only have one total SKU. They don't need a 6-foot table or 12 feet of space to showcase their items. And so with the cocktail concept, including those cocktail tables, I also introduced our fashion and product showcase with models walking around wearing lingerie, as well as various other items from our show, such as that belly band I discussed and various other things, rotating what they're wearing, holding a cocktail tray that's featuring products from our show. So they were walking around, and what would happen was our attendees would see a product and say, hey, where is that? So of course we had identification included on that cocktail tray of where to find what booth number to find that brand. And so that was a lot of fun. And we actually took that same experience into our after hours experience and had models walking around and giving away some products. We had a brand there called Bido, another emerging brand, BIDO, short for libido, but it's an organic drink that's supposed to encourage a healthy libido. And so that was a giveaway that we used those cocktail trays and models to give away during our after hours experience. But during the day, the fashion and product showcase was ongoing. It took place 3 times throughout the day, so 6 times total. And it was really just an immersive way to connect our attendees to the brands. It was welcomed for them to stop the models, ask the models, hey, where do I find this? We trained our models to say, okay, not only this is where you go, but this is a little bit about the product.
Yeah, I love that. I saw your photos, the woman walking around with the drinks on a cocktail tray, giving those away in those little small bottles. That was
Exactly.
really cute and a great way to incorporate your vendors into a fun event.
And everything is really aimed for, I said casual earlier. I did want it to be casual because what do we feel as humans when we're in a casual environment? We feel a little bit more welcome, to feel a little bit more at ease. So we're like, let's create a casual, conversational environment. And that goes back to that mix and mingle of what a bar would deliver sometimes, hence my cocktail concept.
Okay, so I have a couple more questions for you. So, as a launch, was it successful financially?
So, in full disclosure, like we definitely earned dollars from every single participating vendor, but we gave obviously a virgin rate, is what I refer to it as. So, if they're going to help us pop our cherry, we were happy for them to do so. We took those virgin rates, we gave them to a very curated offering of brands. We truly did pick and choose who we wanted, and we were in a great position to do so because, again, we are retail veterans. Myself, as a retail veteran, we could really look at that and say, let's pick and choose. Did we make money? No. Will we make money? Yes. And that was the plan all along.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
knew going into this, but we had incredible sponsors. We had a Stimulate Educate sponsored Esquire advertising. We had investments from incredible brands on various other sponsorship levels, in addition to booth rates. But the plan was, let's show them what we can do. And then let's do that again next year at the traditional rates.
Okay, so it's not so uncommon. It wasn't a trick question or anything. Most trade shows are not successfully financially in year one or year two, even. If you're successful financially year three, most people think that that is a win.
I think we'll be there year two, to be honest. So we've already signed deals for year two. We already have contracts signed and diamond level sponsors guaranteed with via contracts. Those top spots were sold literally within 24 hours of the show. We're looking forward to it. And we're excited about the opportunity to just build this category and support those within the category.
Any advice, things that you learned on this launch? You have had some experience with launching a conference before, but this is your first trade show launch, right?
Correct. So this is my first freestanding trade show. The Independent Retailer, and now it's called the Independent Retailer and Sellers Conference, is taking place at ASD again this upcoming August. We twice a year pop up within ASD Market Week show. So they're an incredible trade show partner that we've worked with a long time, but we produce education only there. So this was the first time we created something that also brought the vendors to life. So, my advice definitely is don't shortcut any detail. Every detail matters, and communication will always be key. We've really leveraged Instagram Stimulate the Show as our handle, as a driver of our communication and connectivity. So with communication comes connectivity, and with connectivity comes opportunity. So we've been pushing that for a while now, and we just authentically share everything there. And I truly do lean into that as one of the drivers of our show success.
Yeah, the Instagram, your social.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also I'd say a brand experience. If you go to our social media on Instagram, you'll find that there really is a story that we tell through that page. And so we found that the stronger connectivity was there versus a website. People are already on Instagram. So getting them to our website was harder. So let's just be where they are. Brands are there, retailers are there, leaders are there. So let's just go there. And that was one of our efforts for sure. Be where they are. Like, let's not overcomplicate this.
How, can you share how many? I'm going to have to go on to Insta and like your page. Can you share any stats from Insta that you're proud of?
Well, we're over 1,000 followers of just organic followers. So for us, that's healthy. We know that there's shortcuts to that. We know people pay to follow or whatever, but we look at that as a win. We have authentic, over 1,000 engaged followers. And the DMs we get from there, without like knowing the stats of that, but we get daily DMs about inquiry. Like, seeking new vendors isn't the problem. Like, having to chase opportunity for people to join, that's not the problem. The problem will always just be delivering experience of value. But there's so much opportunity that they're coming to us. People are saying, how can we get involved? So it's been really interesting to see like the opportunities that have just been neglected for many years, and we're finally hopefully filling a void to.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for taking a few minutes out of your time today. Anything that else that you want to share that I didn't ask you about?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity. I would just say, don't look at the challenge, look at the opportunity because that will keep you moving forward.
That's great. Well, I wish you continued success. And again, the dates for 2024.
It's August 5th and 6th, a Monday and a Tuesday. We definitely look forward to having another curated VIP evening on that 4th. And we will be announcing our roadshow dates in Austin, Chicago, New York, and Miami very soon.
And you said you see a goal of doubling your vendors from 40 to 80 plus, right? What would you like to see in terms of attendance for next year?
I think we will also plan to double our attendance. So we're looking forward to absolutely 400 plus. Our goal is never to be the biggest show, but our goal is definitely to be the right show for this category and nurturing, again, those three pillars of conversation: product knowledge, retail education, and sexual wellness. If we can achieve that with steady growth, we'll be very happy.
Well, I wish you much success. And thanks again for taking a few minutes today, Nicole.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.